Okay, picture this. The scene is meticulously planned. Victoria Beckham, perfectly styled, sits down for the camera. Total control, right? Ready to shape her own legacy. She looks right into that lens, frames her story. We're very working class. That was supposed to be it, her definitive statement.
But then, bang, the whole narrative just implodes. Off camera, you hear this sharp voice cutting in.
Yeah, David. Poking his head around the door, delivering probably the ultimate brand intervention ever. Be honest.
Such a moment.
Total tension, you can feel. Then this, like, beat of awkward silence, and she gives in the concession. Okay, in the 80s, my dad had a Rolls-Royce.
And David just nods like he knows exactly what just happened, pure gold, and vanishes. Perfect timing.
Perfect. And that single exchange, the one that launched, what, 1 million memes?
Easily.
It was way more than just good reality TV. We're arguing it was basically the blueprint for this multi-billion-dollar business empire they've built.
Right. An empire built less on just being famous and more on, deliberate strategic control of their story, their narrative.
Welcome to the deep dive. If you're fascinated, like we are, by how these huge figures in pop culture turned fame into actual lasting fortune, well, you're definitely in the right place.
Yeah, today we're going way beyond the red carpets, beyond the gossip columns. Our mission, really, is to dissect the strategy behind brand Beckham.
We're going to uncover some surprising stuff about, like, ownership versus debt, that incredible foresight in a single contract clause.
Oh, the MLS clause. Unbelievable.
Exactly. And this critical paradox of succession, passing the torch, that really defines their dynasty now.
So let's dig into that opening moment first, the be honest scene, because this is where it gets fascinating from a production standpoint.
Totally. That moment, the defining bit from the Beckham documentary on Netflix, apparently a complete accident.
Right. David wasn't even supposed to be in the shot. He was just like making coffee offset, listening in.
And the director, Fisher Stevens, he was reportedly furious at first, saw it purely as a disruption, told the crew, get him out of here.
Which is understandable in the moment. But what's brilliant, and what shows the real genius behind their brand instincts, maybe even Stevens' own instincts,
is that he realized almost immediately, wait, this is gold? Cinematic gold.
Exactly. It completely, albeit accidentally, captured the Beckham operational genius, this like 4-stage formula for turning their private life into cold, hard cash.
Okay, stage 1, creation. They manufacture this moment of authenticity, right? Even though it's happening in a super controlled media environment.
Which importantly they owned. Through Studio 99, their own production house.
Key detail. Then stage 2, virality. They let it seem genuinely funny, self-deprecating. So naturally it explodes everywhere. Reddit, X, TikTok.
Yeah.
The quote becomes instant cultural shorthand.
And this is the killer move, stage 3. Capitalization. Almost instantly, Victoria's team drops a t-shirt. Direct to consumer.
But my dad drove a Rolls-Royce t-shirt for 110 pounds.
Bang. No waiting around. Monetize the meme while it's hot. Pure impact.
And then stage 4, endorsement. They leverage all that cultural buzz, that self-parody.
Straight into a massive Super Bowl ad for Uber Eats.
It just shows this incredible commercial agility, doesn't it? They're not just reacting to fame anymore. They're actively treating their personal story, even their, perceived flaws.
As a core asset. Something you can license. Yeah. Something highly profitable.
The level of self-awareness needed for that, to basically parody your own vulnerability for a massive profit, it's kind of staggering.
It really is.
Can you imagine licensing your own family arguments for a Super Bowl commercial? It wasn't just a PR win. It was like the ultimate proof that every single part of their lives is now a financial tool.
And that willingness, that ability to turn the intimate into immediate revenue, that's what really sets them apart. They control the story, yeah, but they're also smart enough to make the audience feel like they're in on the joke.
Okay, so if you think monetizing one quote like that is brilliant, just wait. We need to shift gears now and talk about the sheer scale of David's strategic business brain.
Oh, yes, the architect.
Specifically, that $25 million decision that turned into, well, a $1 billion asset.
David's journey from, star athlete to corporate architect, it's really the foundation of the whole dynasty. And it wasn't luck. It was a very deliberate long-term plan focused on ownership, equity.
And that strategy really kicked into high gear with his manager, Simon Fuller. Remember him? The key moment was 2019. David buys out Fuller's 33% stake in his brand company.
For a reported $50 million. That was a huge move.
Crucial. It basically signaled David's #1 priority. Get complete control. Control over his name, his image, and maximize his share of all future profits.
But the groundwork, the really critical piece, was laid way earlier, back in 2007.
The LA Galaxy move, everyone remembers the hype, the drama.
Right, but the real value wasn't just the salary, massive as it was about the future, post-football.
And this is where Fuller's negotiation skills were just incredible. He got this tiny clause put in the contract.
Tiny but seismic.
Yeah. It gave David the right, upon retiring, to buy an MLS expansion team for a fixed, heavily discounted price.
And that fixed price, just $25 million.
Think about that foresight for a Major League sports franchise.
Incredible. They weren't just negotiating for a player. They were negotiating for future ownership, an entire business asset.
So when David finally hangs up his boots, he exercises that option, founds Inter Miami CF.
And today,
Mm-hmm.
that club, his most successful venture by far, is valued at over $1 billion.
That's like a 40x return on investment. You just have to admire that.
Absolutely. And bringing Messi in 2023, another masterstroke.
Yeah.
Generated insane international buzz, boosted the club's value, ticket sales went through the roof.
So to manage all this, he's got DRJB Holdings as the mothership.
Right, the command center.
Mm-hmm.
And the main profit engine under that is DV Ventures. That's pulling in maybe $40 million a year from huge deals with brands like Hugo Boss, Tudor watches.
And we can't skip over Studio 99 again here. Creating their own production company, that was a fundamental pivot.
Totally fundamental. They went from being the subject of media
to owning the means of production, controlling their own narrative completely. It's like the ultimate brand insurance policy.
And they locked down that narrative control even further in 2022 with that huge deal, selling a 55% majority stake in DRJB Holdings.
To Authentic Brands Group, ABG, for a reported $200 million.
Now, for people listening who maybe don't follow the business side so closely, why ABG? And why only sell 55%?
Good question. ABG basically specializes in buying up celebrity IP, intellectual property, and then scaling it globally. Think huge names they manage, like Reebok, Shaquille O'Neal.
Exactly. So by selling a majority stake to them, David basically plugged his brand into this like industrial scale machine built for global monetization.
He gets a massive payday up front, obviously, but by keeping 45%, he retains a really significant, valuable chunk.
Yeah, he shifts his role. He goes from managing the day-to-day deals to basically collecting dividends from a globally optimized asset. It's a masterful move from being the product
to owning the platform that distributes the product. Genius.
It really is.
Okay, if you're enjoying these kinds of strategic breakdowns, these Hollywood financial deep dives, make sure you're subscribed to The Deep Dive. We always try to bring you these crucial details you might miss elsewhere.
Definitely subscribe. So David's empire, built on foresight, built on equity. Victoria's story, though, is quite different. It's more a story of resilience built on, well, a huge mountain of debt initially.
Yeah, let's talk about her pivot. Because the headline figure here is pretty shocking. Despite all the critical acclaim, the high fashion status, the Victoria Beckham fashion line was, for over a decade, a financial disaster.
The numbers are stark. High overheads, the traditional fashion wholesale model. It was apparently devastating. Reports suggest the label was losing something like 4,000 pounds every single day.
Wow.
And the debt just piled up. It reached a reported $53.9 million by 2022.
That's huge. And she's been quite open about it, hasn't she? Called it a dark, dark time, being tens of millions in the red.
Yeah, and you can imagine the strain on them personally. David apparently admitted it kind of broke his heart. Just kept funding this business where he never saw anything coming back.
Which makes the turnaround even more impressive. The launch of Victoria Beckham Beauty, VBB, in 2019. That was the strategic masterstroke, the lifesaver.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just, oh, let's add makeup. It was a fundamental shift in the business model.
Right. They ditched the capital-heavy retail fashion approach and went for a high-margin direct-to-consumer model, DTC.
Which, for you listening, basically means they cut out the department stores, the wholesalers, all the middlemen.
So they keep control over the price, the stock, and crucially, they keep a much, much bigger slice of the profit from every lipstick, every eyeliner sold.
Exactly. The margin control they desperately needed to climb out of that 50 million pound hole.
And the products themselves were strong, right? VBB really focused on high-quality, best-in-class makeup, built real customer loyalty.
Definitely. That flagship product, the Satin Kajal liner, huge hit. Supposedly sells 1 unit every 30 seconds somewhere in the world.
Incredible. It proved the brand could actually sell products, not just, the idea of luxury.
And the financial results were dramatic, transformative. VBB became the main growth engine. 4 straight years of double-digit revenue growth.
Total revenues for the holding company surged $112.7 million in 2024.
And here's the key financial milestone. positive EBITDA, 2.2 million
Okay,
pounds.
break down EBITDA for us quickly.
Sure. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Basically, it means that operationally, ignoring all those financing and accounting factors, the core business is finally making money. It's not just burning through cash anymore.
So that beauty line didn't just help. It literally rescued the entire Beckham commercial operation.
Pretty much, yeah. An incredible save.
So, okay, they've mastered corporate structure, they've mastered media narratives, they've mastered financial pivots, but now they face arguably the biggest threat, and it's internal.
The paradox of succession.
Exactly. The core asset, the absolute bedrock of brand Beckham, is this image they project. A unified, aspirational, but somehow still relatable family unit.
But when the next generation tries to step into that spotlight, tries doing the family business, that aspirational image gets tangled up with accusations of, well, nepotism.
Brooklyn Beckham, the eldest son, he's been the most active commercially, right? But his ventures, they often get met with pretty harsh criticism.
Yeah, the photography book was widely panned. That $100,000 online cooking show got mocked quite a bit. And that kind of public reaction, fair or not, it chips away at the perceived legitimacy of the family trying to build this dynasty.
And then, layered on top of that, you have the reported family rift, which strikes right at the heart of that unified family brand pillar.
These persistent reports of a feud, a distance, between David and Victoria and Brooklyn and his wife, Nicola Peltz, they're incredibly damaging to that core image they've spent decades building.
Well, you see it publicly, right? Their absence from really big family things like David's 50th birthday bash.
Or doing their own separate vow renewal, reportedly without the wider family there. These aren't just private matters when your brand is the family.
It really puts the whole thing in jeopardy. The family's core story, unwavering unity, is being openly challenged, seemingly by its own eldest heir.
For a dynasty built, fundamentally, on controlling the narrative, this isn't just gossip column fodder. It's a genuine brand crisis. It affects their long-term commercial credibility.
It's obviously a complex human situation behind the scenes. We don't know the full story, but from a purely commercial viewpoint.
It's a massive strategic challenge. Their whole playbook has been about presenting this united front. How do you manage or even monetize a perceived fracture within that front? It's uncharted territory for them.
So let's recap. The Beckham empire. It stands on these three really brilliantly built pillars. David's strategic ownership, Inter Miami, the ABG deal.
Victoria's commercial agility, that VBB rescue operation from massive debt.
And underpinning it all, their collective mastery of controlling the story, perfectly shown by turning that Rolls-Royce meme into cash.
Ultimately, yeah, the entire brand was built on projecting this unified, aspirational family. They've proved time and again they can handle market forces, financial crises, media storms.
But the long-term survival, the real durability of this billion-dollar empire, it might not be decided by ABG's global strategy or how well the next eyeliner sells.
No. It's likely going to come down to whether they can manage this internal family dynamic, this succession crisis, with the same ruthless strategic skill and narrative control they've applied to everything else for the last 25 years.
That right there is the next act, and we'll all definitely be watching.
You've been listening to The Deep Dive, where we uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.